Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment and immediately wish you could take it back? Or maybe someone said something small, something that probably didn't even mean that much, and you found yourself replaying it for days, feeling upset, wondering why it got to you so much. And you wish to step into that unbothered energy, and no one could ever trigger you again. You can absolutely learn that if you applied what I'm gonna tell you. But a little spoiler, it is not what you thought. Staying unbothered doesn't mean not having any emotions. It is actually the exact opposite. So in this video, you're gonna learn why. We're gonna talk about why we react the way we do, why the way most of us try to control our emotions actually makes things worse. And then I'll walk you through the practical ways you can start doing today to feel more calm, more grounded, and honestly, feel more like yourself. Hi everyone, I'm Yang. I'll help you quiet your overthinking, find your inner peace, trust your intuition to align within so you can expand beyond what you thought possible. I used to think that being emotional, being reactive, getting triggered by things was a flaw. Like something's wrong with me that I needed to fix or hide. So I did what a lot of us do. I pushed things down. I told myself I was fine. I kept avoiding the emotions. And what happened? I kept reacting over and over and over again in the same situation, with the same people, in the same ways. All I felt was having more emotions and more frustrated, and I couldn't understand why. It wasn't until I actually started learning about what emotional intelligence is that things begins to shift for me. There is a really common misunderstanding about mastering your emotions means becoming cold, but it doesn't mean suppressing everything you feel or pretending that you're fine when you're not. It doesn't mean turning into someone who lives through life untouched by everything. You're a human and you're supposed to feel things. Sadness, anger, jealousy, fear. None of these are signs that something is wrong with you. There are no bad emotions. There are only emotions, and every single one of them is valid. What mastering your emotion actually means is this. You notice what you're feeling, you acknowledge it, you give it space, but you don't let it make your decisions for you. You feel it, and then you choose how to respond. Let me start by telling you something that honestly changed everything for me when I first learned it. The reason you react so strongly to certain things is almost never really about the thing itself. Let me explain what I mean. Imagine you and your partner are at home one day. You go and grab some ice creams for desserts, and then your partner says, "Are you sure you want that?" And then something in you just snaps. You feel this immediate rush of anger. You know that on some level that they probably meant it innocently, but you just can't help it. It got to you. Why? Why does that specific thing hit so hard? Well, maybe growing up, you had a parent who was always commenting on your body, always pointing out what you were eating, making you feel like you were never quite good enough as you were. And your partner's one little comment, maybe completely unrelated, just concerns about healthy eating, it touched the same old wound without you even realizing it. And that's what a trigger actually is. It's not really about the present moment. It's your nervous system saying, I've felt this before. I know what this means. And it pulls you back into a very old, very painful feeling before your thinking brain even has a chance to catch up. And that happens to all of us. Our triggers are like a map. They point us directly to the places inside us that still need some healing. And I know that can feel heavy to hear, but I think it's actually really hopeful because the map is something you can work with. So the first thing I want you to know is that your reactions are not random. They are not a character flaw. They are telling you something. And when you start getting curious about what that something is, instead of judging yourself for reacting, you are on the first step to master your emotions. And then here's the part that I think surprises people the most, because it surprised me too. The people who struggle the most with emotional reactivity are usually not people who feel too much. They are the people who spend a lot of time avoiding what they feel. When you push an emotion down, when you tell yourself, I'm fine, I don't need to deal with this right now, the emotion doesn't actually go away. It just sits there in your mind and energetically stored in your body. And then it sits a little longer, and then a little longer. Then over time, it builds up until one day, it all got to a critical point, something that seems like not that big of a deal on the surface, but you just completely lose it. You snap, you cry, you shut down, and afterwards, you're thinking, why did I react like that? Because it wasn't just that one thing, it was everything that had been quietly building underneath. And I really want you to remember, there are no good or bad emotions. Sadness isn't weakness, anger isn't ugly, fear isn't something to be ashamed of. Every emotion you feel is a completely natural human experience. The goal was never to feel less. It was never to become numb or detached or unbothered in a forced way. The goal is to learn how to be with your emotions and how to move through them. Because emotions are energy, and energy needs somewhere to go. When you let yourself actually feel sadness, really cry, really grieve, really sit in it, really let your brain process it, that energy gets released from your body. And when you feel anger and let it move, through movement, through writing, through speaking honestly with someone you trust, it moves through you and it passes. But when you avoid it, when you keep telling yourself, no, I'm not going there, the energy doesn't disappear. It stays in your body, it stays in your mind, and it waits, it festers, and usually at the worst possible moment, it snaps out. And there's a really important difference between feeling your emotions and wallowing in them. Feeling your emotion means actually allowing yourself to sit with what's there, cry if you need to, journal it out, move your body, talk to someone you trust, letting it move through you and out of you. And wallowing is when you replay the same situation over and over in your mind, building it up, keeping the story alive without actually doing anything to release it. There's no processing, and that's just keeping the wound open. So the shift is this: give yourself actual space to feel. Not to perform it, not to replay the past in the mind again and again, but to genuinely feel it. For example, you're replaying how your boyfriend has hurt you, how unfair it is, but you just feel the anger, feel the sadness, feel that you're hurt. It doesn't mean to minimize what he does, but you name your frustration, feel it, use your way to release it. You are kind of separating the event and the emotions. When you really let your emotions get out of your mind and your nervous system, your mind will stop replaying the painful story. That's how you move through it instead of being stuck in it. Remember, the goal was never only feel positive emotions all the time, because no one can only be happy 100% of the time. The goal is to release the negative emotions so you can be peaceful at the majority of the time that you live. Now, here comes the most confusing part. When we talk about staying calm when someone triggers you, not reacting, staying unbothered, it can feel like we're talking about suppressing it. Like you're just supposed to smile and pretend you don't feel anything. But that's not what it is. Being unbothered doesn't mean you don't feel anything. It means you're bigger than the reaction in that moment. Think about it this way: someone says something to you that really stinks, and in that moment, you feel it. You notice the anger rising, the hurt underneath it. You're aware of all of it. But instead of letting that feeling immediately drive your words and your actions, you pause. You're not letting yourself react. You stay quiet with the emotions. Maybe even tell people, I need a moment. And then you walk away. Release your emotions in ways that are healthy instead of letting people trigger you. That is not suppression. That is not pretending. That is you choosing not to give that moment more power than it deserves. You are saying, I feel this. I will deal with this, but on my own term, in my own time, privately. And then later, when you're alone, when you're safe, you let yourself actually feel it. You sit with it, you journal about it, you cry if you need to, you process it completely. Because the best way to respond to someone who disrespects you and hurt you is to rise above them, not reacting to them. The world sees calm, and inside you're actually doing the deep work, privately, honestly, with full awareness of everything you felt. And that's the difference between emotional mastery and avoidance. Avoidance says, I'm not going to feel this. Mastery says, I'm going to feel all of this, just not in a way that hurts me or someone else. And that takes practice, but is one of the most freeing things you will ever learn to do. And the last thing I want to talk about in this section is something I wish someone had told me a long time ago. So much about emotional reactivity, so much of anxiety and spiraling and the overthinking comes from trying to control things that were never in our hands to begin with. What other people think of us, how they respond to us, whether they agree with us, whether they act the way we need them to act, and I understand why we do it. When things feel uncertain, controlling feels like safety. But here's what actually happens. The more energy we put into managing things outside ourselves, the more out of control we feel inside. Your friends may plan without you. Let them. Someone in your life thinks you are making the wrong choice. Let them think about it. Someone isn't responding the way you hoped. Let them be who they are. It's not your job to control how people see you. They are never accurate anyway, because no one knows more about you than you do. Their opinion about you is shaped by their beliefs about the world. If someone disrespects you, it says more about them than you, because they are jealous, because they don't know how to respect people. Do you rise above them or be like them? This isn't about not caring. It's not about being passive. It's about recognizing where your actual peace lives, and it doesn't live in other people's choices or opinions. It lives in how you relate to yourself. Learn to validate and ask approval from yourself instead of other people. Do they know more about your life? Do they know more about what's best for your mental health? If no, why would you care about what they say? And honestly, when you stop fighting so hard against what you can change, you start to see people more clearly. You start to see situations more clearly, and you can make decisions from that calm, clear place instead of from reaction and fear. Your peace is too important to hand over the things that were never in your control. Don't give your power to other people. When you're reacting to other people's opinion, you're giving them power over you. I know you're smarter than them, so rise above them. Now you know the truth about emotional mastery. How can you put it into practice daily and start your unbothered girl era? The most important thing you can do in a struggling moment is to pause, to create a tiny gap between what happened and what you do next, namely to respond instead of react. When you feel the first wave, the heart racing, the tightness in your chest, the flush of heat, before you say or do anything, take one deep breath. That one moment is everything because it gives your rational brain a chance to come back online and then name what you're feeling. Not the story, not the blame, just the feeling. I feel hurt. I feel scared. I feel angry. I feel disrespected. Something short and honest. Naming what we feel actually creates a distance from it. So instead of being in the reaction, we can start to observe it. And from that place, we can choose what we do next. And I know how hard it can be. I have been in the heat of the moment and snapped. I could feel my body was reacting and heart racing. I wish I could have controlled myself. And that's how I started to learn emotional mastery. And with practice, you will get better each time. You can pause longer each time, observe and distant from your emotions each time, and know more about yourself and your trigger each time. Everything takes practice. The more you are aware, the more you can stay calm instead of reacting. And the next time you notice you've reacted to something more intensely than the situation seemed to deserve, instead of judging yourself for it, get curious. Ask yourself what was really about it. Write it down. What happened? What did you feel in your body? What did that feeling remind you of? Where have you felt this before? Having anger is never a problem because it tells you something about yourself, what you really care about. So stop judging yourself for having negative emotions and be kind to yourself. Be the best friend of yourself and try to understand yourself more. Only when you know more about you and give yourself space, you can start to respond to your emotions. Most of the time, if you are willing to sit with it honestly, you will find something older underneath, a wound that hasn't fully healed, a belief you've been carrying for a very long time about yourself or about how people treat you. You don't have to have all the answers right away. The act of asking the question, of looking inward with kindness instead of judgment, in itself is healing. And over time, those triggers start to lose their grip because you finally gave them the attention they were asking for. In the next practice, learn more about what's your way to release and process your emotions. Everyone is different, so find out what's best for you. Maybe it's shouting out loud or punching the pillow for your anger. Maybe it's crying everything out. Learn what works for you, what makes you feel a sense of release. Process your emotion in a healthy way that doesn't hurt you or other people. Remember, managing your emotion is your own job. Other people have no responsibility to look after your feelings. Take the responsibility for yourself. If someone has triggered you, it is because there are some triggers in you. You cannot control what others say or do. You can only control how you say or do. Only when you take the responsibility for your reaction can you start to manage it and be unbothered. And the last practice is less of a technique and more of a foundation. Because everything I've talked about today, the pausing, the curiosity, the honesty, it is so hard to do when we're constantly disconnected from ourselves. So make it a daily habit to check in, just a few minutes. It can be in the morning before your phone or at night before you sleep. Ask yourself, how am I actually feeling today? What do I need right now? And my favorite practice of this is journaling. There is nothing better than writing down how you feel makes you know more about it. You can only think so much when you write them down. A lot of our emotional reactivity comes from the fact that we spend so much time looking outward, at other people, at the environment, at the society, at what we need to accomplish, that we completely lose touch with what's happening inside us. And then we wonder why we feel so out of control. When you make space for yourself every day, you're less likely to reach that overflow point. You process things as they come instead of letting them build. And this is how you start to trust yourself, how the inner quiet starts to feel more like home. So let me just bring everything together. Your emotional reactions aren't flaws. They're pointing to something, usually something old, something that still needs a little healing. The people who struggle most with reactivity are often the ones who've been pushing their feelings down the longest, not the ones who feel too much. Letting go of what you can control is not giving up. It's how you protect your peace. And the most powerful thing you can do in a triggered moment is simply pause, just long enough to come back to yourself. Mastering your emotions is never about becoming someone who never feels anything. There are no bad emotions. Sadness, anger, fear, all of it is human. All of it is valid. The goal was never to feel less. The goal is just to feel fully, process honestly, and respond with intention. To be someone who feels everything and still knows how to find their way back to calm. To deal with what's yours heavily and privately, so that the world only sees the calm and embodied version of you that you have chosen to show up as. It is not about being fake or inauthentic. Instead, it is the most authentic thing you can do because you let yourself feel everything and process your emotion. Meanwhile, you show up as the best version of yourself because no one can touch you or make you react anymore. And I truly believe that if you give yourself that kind of attention and patience, you will be amazed at how much it changes. Mastering your emotions is something we have to keep learning our entire life. No one is perfect, but we can get better and better every single day. And let's walk this journey together. I'm here with you to enjoy this journey we called life. And I'll see you in the next video.